The gut-wrenching surveillance video has been released tonight showing the Uvalde school shooter entering Robb Elementary School on May 24th, shooting his way into classrooms full of cowering grade schoolers and the teachers trying to protect them. 19 teachers, 2 students were killed. In the aftermath of the shooting, the police response has come under intense scrutiny and condemnation, including on this show. It took heavily armed officers 77 minutes to enter the classroom. The gunman had barricaded himself, even as trapped students called 911 begging for help with officers just feet away. The Austin American-Statesman newspaper has released an edited 4-minute version of the video, and it comes less than a week before the Texas House committee investigating the shooting had been planning to release the hallway surveillance of the police response to the massacre. Neither of the videos show children being shot, but we want to warn you, the images and audio on what has been released tonight are extremely disturbing. This video begins with the Uvalde school shooter crashing his truck outside the school. He opens fire on 2 men who approach him to help before running towards the elementary school. Next, you hear the terrified 911 calls from inside the school. Teachers scream as gunfire is heard in the background.
The kids are running! Oh my God! Get in your room! Get in your room!
11:33 a.m., the gunman enters the school with an AR-15 style rifle. Seconds later, you hear gunfire as he blasts his way into a classroom. A child standing in the hallway runs away. The video lays out the timeline as the first responding officers are inside the school 3 minutes after the gunman enters. 3 minutes. Gunshots can still be heard when they enter. The armed officers take defensive positions around the classroom the gunman is in. They take fire and retreat. 2 officers apparently are grazed by bullets. Almost 20 minutes after the shooting began, more officers arrived, this time with ballistic shields. By the time a half hour has passed, officers continue to stay in defensive positions. Nearly an hour later, more gunshots from inside the classroom, 4 more rounds. More time passes. Officers are gathered outside. Keep in mind there are desperate children inside begging 911 to send the police. They don't know the officers are just steps away, and after 77 minutes, they finally go in. Initially, police said they were waiting for a key to enter the classroom. The door, it turns out, was unlocked. The incident commander, School District Police Chief Pete Arredondo, has been blamed for treating the situation as a barricaded subject, not an active shooter situation. But there were multiple local and federal agencies on the scene, and you can see from the video that they all appeared to have stood by. Joining me now is Zach Despard, a reporter with the Texas Tribune. He has seen the full 77-minute video. Zach, thanks very much for joining us. Appreciate it. All right, first, let's talk about the clips we were able to show. I think the hardest part is watching those officers stand there, even though the gunman is presumably shooting children feet away from them.
Yeah, it surely is, Dan. Our team at the Texas Tribune had reviewed this video almost a month ago. Finally, the public has a chance to see it. Like you said, it shows officers responding very quickly within a few minutes of the shooting starting, and then they retreat when they were fired upon, and then they wait an excruciatingly long amount of time, more than an hour, before they ultimately go back into those classrooms and breach them and kill the gunman. Yes, the state police had placed a lot of blame on the purported incident commander, the head of the school district state police, Pete Arredondo. But yes, there are many officers from more than a half dozen other police agencies who are at various points in this hallway that you see on screen, waiting around while the shooting continues at various points through that entire hour-long period. So there are questions, especially for the states and the feds, why those officers did not take charge when they described the local police were not competent in taking control.
Did we know that the officers had arrived and they had then taken fire and then retreated? Was that something new we learned by watching the video, or was that well known?
We had reported that in our story a month ago, and the head of the state police had testified to that a few weeks ago at the Capitol. The gunmen, the officers arrived in the first few minutes. They ran up to were approaching the door to the classroom and were shot at. A few of them were grazed, not seriously wounded. There was a report last week by some active shooter experts in Texas who said it may have been okay to retreat in that literal moment, but they should have regrouped. They had plenty of officers, plenty of rifles, plenty of firepower, everything they needed to confront the shooter within those first few minutes, and they decided not to go back and try again.
And the question becomes the who is the they, right? Because, you know, I certainly don't want to start blaming individual officers when there was an order. You have to follow protocol, et cetera. Someone was making the decision there. And that's what's particularly sort of baffling about this. Let me read a statement from the Texas Department of Public Safety. This is the guy, Stephen McCraw, who we heard from publicly. He said, "I'm deeply disappointed this video was released before all of the families who were impacted that day and the community of Uvalde had the opportunity to view it as part of Chairman Dustin Burrow's plan. Those most affected should have been among the first to see it. As I stated during my testimony before the Senate Special Committee to Protect All Texans, this video provides horrifying evidence that the law enforcement response to the attack at Robb Elementary on May 24th was an abject failure. In law enforcement, one officer fails, we all fail." But that's the end of that is not quite the same tone he took when he testified. When he testified, he wasn't sort of saying, well, we all failed. He was specifically pointing the finger at the local police.
He was. I mean, he did say specifically that Chief Arredondo, being the incident commander, had made serious errors in the calls that he had made. It's worth noting that, of course, like Steve McGraw's own officers, his state police also were at the scene.
Right.
And there were questions by some of the senators in that hearing as to why the state police, because they had thought that Arredondo on screen now, if he was so incompetent, if he was so not taking charge, then why weren't the state police, the larger police agency, the better trained police agency, why didn't they take charge? Steve McGraw had sort of demurred at that point and said that was not the appropriate protocol. But those questions remain, certainly, yes.
And what did you see on the full video? We obviously just played small portions of it that stood out to you that maybe we're not seeing on this edited clip?
I mean, I think that what struck us is just the entirety of it. I mean, obviously, you can only show a couple clips here, but 77 minutes is a tremendous amount of time during a shooting to not act. And I don't mean to be critical. It's, of course, a very hard situation to be in. But the police tactics experts that we spoke with had said, look, yes, this is a difficult situation, but these are trained police officers that had plenty of time to regroup, to develop a new strategy to go in. And why it took so long to do that, I imagine, is a very, very hard question for many of the families who are seeing this video for the first time.
Oh, let's be clear. I don't think there's any way to defend waiting 77 minutes. It's just a question of who was responsible, right? I mean, I don't think there's anyone out there saying, oh, this is just normal protocol that they had to wait 77 minutes. I haven't heard a single person say that. It's just a question of how did it happen, right? And who was responsible for making those decisions?
Yeah, no police officers, current or retired, that we have spoken to are defending the idea that you would wait that long to engage. The question of who deserves blame is a much more complicated one, and will, as we talk to more experts and as the reports on this come out, have a better answer to that question. But the overarching answer that I've gotten is it's not just one police officer from a local district. It's a more comprehensive failure.
All right. Well, again, my heart goes out to those families who are watching that tonight, and I do hope that now they'll at last allow them to see it in full before the rest of it is released. Zach Despart, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Go to NewsNationNow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.